What's up YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. And today I've got my very first deck profile of 2023. This one is my updated Advanced Crystal Beast deck. Yeah, I never thought that I would ever be updating the Advanced Crystal Beast deck. But with the fact that we just got the brand new equip spell for the Crystal Beast itself, known as Golden Rule, I figured, you know what, let's try it out. Let's see if it actually works. And funny enough, it actually works. But I will talk about the equip spell once we get to the spells in the video. But before we get into the video, if you guys do not know, I always post the deck lists on my Instagram, so make sure you guys follow me there. Link will be in the description below, as will the links to both of my Twitter accounts. Yes, I do have two separate Twitter accounts, one for WWE and one for Yu-Gi-Oh. All three links will be in the description below. And if you guys enjoyed the video and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and if you guys have any fan mail that you guys want to send me, the info will be in the description as well. And as you guys can tell by my voice, yes, I am still sick, but but it is not as bad as it was in the last several days. Luckily, I've got cough drops to help ensure that I don't cough as much. So big shoutouts to Ricola for the cough drops. Not sponsored of course. But without any further ado, let's get straight into it. Kicking things off, obviously we've got the Rainbow Neos package. So we got obviously one Elemental Hero Neos, we got the Neos Fusion, and of course Rainbow Neos as well. There's really no reason to explain the Neos package because truth be told, Rainbow Neos is like one of the main win cons of the whole deck itself. If you're able to get Rainbow Neos on board, you essentially just win because it can bounce pretty much any and all cards from the field back into the opponent's deck. And what's even more cool is that it can actually reset. It basically just resets the board as well, which is pretty nuts. Then of course we got two copies of Rainbow Dragon. Obviously, it's the Advanced Crystal Beast. You really can't do anything without Rainbow Dragon. Not to brag about it, of course, but if you're able to stick both copies of Rainbow Dragon on board, you basically just have two 4K beaters, and it's basically a threat. Basically, which is pretty cool. Pretty nuts, but probably not gonna happen because you're mostly gonna be using Rainbow Dragon to go into your Rainbow Neos, or even any of your other two fusions that you have at your disposal. Then of course we got a Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, in which if you guys have never seen any of the Crystal Beasts or the Advanced Crystal Beasts before, they all have the exact same effect that reads if this face-up card is destroyed in a monster zone, you can place it face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell instead of sending it to the graveyard. This basically just gives you access to play to summon another card that I'm going to talk about right now, known as Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder. I know some people might think it's dumb that Haman is used in a Crystal Beast or in an Advanced Crystal Beast deck, but what's funny about this is that the only way Haman can be summoned is if you send 3 continuous spells face up from your back row into your graveyard. So in a scenario where you have 3 crystals in your back row, like say like say Amber, Topaz, and let's say Emerald. Let's just say that. You send all three to your graveyard, Hamon comes to the board, and you essentially have a... You essentially have, I guess, sort of a nice little battle disruption, I guess you could say, which is pretty cool. Which is actually pretty cool. But, truth be told, Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon has another couple of effects, which read, you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. When an attack is declared involving a Crystal Beast monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can banish this card, treat it as a continuous spell, special summon a level 4 or lower Crystal Beast from your deck, but its effects are negated, and if you do, add a ultimate crystal monster from your deck to your hand. So this basically, this effect basically searches out Rainbow Dragon, and if you have the right materials, you could just summon Rainbow Dragon right off the bat, which is pretty cool. And now we go into the Advanced Crystal Beast, which those are the only cards the only monsters I'm running. All of my hand traps are in the side deck, which I will talk about here in a little bit. But as I said with Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, each of the Advanced Crystal Beasts has the exact same effect, where it reads that if it's destroyed in a monster zone, you can place it face up in your background as a continuous spell. But each Advanced Crystal Beast has their own effect. Kicking things off, we got three Advanced Sapphire. Sapphire's effect basically says also too they also have their first and third effects are exactly the same but different. So the first effect of each Advanced Crystal Beast reads if Advanced Dark is not in a field zone, send this monster to the graveyard. And then of course the third effect is basically that if it's destroyed in a monster zone, you can place it face up in your back row. But each Advanced Crystal Beast has their own effect. Kicking these off are again the three Advanced Sapphire. Sapphire's effect is basically the original, but is basically just the original where if it's summoned, you can take one of your Advanced Crystal Beasts that is either banished in your hand, in your deck, or in your graveyard, place it face up in your back row, which is just a great way to get Rainbow Dragon on board a lot quicker. 2 copies of Advanced Amber. Ooh, there we go. Advanced Amber's effect reads, once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets your Advanced Crystal Beast cards, or Advanced Dark, as a quick effect, you can negate the activation. And it also has another effect where it reads once per turn, when your Advanced Crystal Beast is targeted for an attack, you can negate that attack. So basically, this is basically Solemn Judgment negate attack rolled into one giant ass elephant, basically. Or I guess in this case, a mammoth, if you will. That's actually pretty nuts. That is pretty nuts. Then we have 2 copies of Advanced Topaz. Topaz effect reads, all Advanced Crystal Beast monsters control gain 400 attack and defense, and monsters your opponent controls lose 400 attack and defense. This basically gives you access to also fire off Crystal Brilliance, which enhances your Advanced Crystal Beast's attack even higher. So with that type of combo, it ensures that your Advanced Crystal Beast monsters can topple any monster that your opponent may have on their board, which could be a variety of things. It could be cards such as Axico Talker, Appaloosa, you know, Zeus, whatever. Anything that the advanced Topaz Crystal Brilliance combo can beat over, they'll do it easily, which is pretty nuts. Then we have 2 copies of Advanced Cobalt. Cobalt is basically your terraforming for the whole deck. So its effect reads that you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, add 1 advanced dart from your deck to your hand. And once returned, you can target 1 advanced Crystal Beast card you control, return it to the hand, or place it face up, or place it on top of the deck. Sorry. So if you were to, if you didn't commit to your normal summon, you can actually bounce Sapphire back to your hand. Normal summon the Sapphire, trigger off its effect, take let's say Amber, place it face up into your back row, and you can and if you have again if you got the right materials, you can instantly go into Rainbow Dragon, which is pretty nuts. Then of course we got 2 Advanced Amethysts. This card basically just ensures that all of your advanced Crystal Beasts can attack directly, but the damage is cut in half, which is not too bad. which isn't too bad. Ooh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Whew. Sorry, guys. That was completely unexpected. I apologize, guys. But again, this ensures that you get to deal a pretty nice hunk of damage to your opponent. So that way, if you have the right materials, you can instantly go into then your Time Thief Redoer, and you can just go from there. And then during each of your opponents, and then during each of both your standby phases and your opponent's standby phases, you can attach cards from your opponent's deck onto Redoer, and the more materials you have on Redoer, the more I guess board wipes, I guess you can say that you'll have for Zeus, which is pretty nuts. Then of course we got 2 copies of Advanced Emerald. This is basically zero gravity. This is basically a zero gravity. It's the exact same as the original Emerald, but of course too, as I mentioned, their first effect reads that you have to have Advanced Dark on board, otherwise the Advanced Crystal Beasts get destroyed, which we all know, but still, Advanced Emerald is basically a zero gravity, and then the only 1 copy of Advanced Ruby. You only need 1 copy of Ruby because of the fact that Ruby can just easily bounce itself, can just float itself from the field to back into the back row, from the graveyard to the hand. It's basically a floater, which is pretty nuts. But what's cool... Guys, I apologize. My uncle just walked in and we have a bunch of dogs barking. Anyway... there it is. I swear, that dog needs to just shut up. Anyway, Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, right, Ruby. So Ruby's effect reads while this card is treated as a continuous spell, I just can't win with these fucking dogs. Guys, understand this, guys. Every single morning that I film for YouTube, all four of my dogs just bark out of nowhere. I don't know. But anyway, as I was saying, Ruby's effect reads: while this card is treated as a continuous spell, you can special summon this card. Then you can special summon as many Advanced Crystal Beast cards as possible from your back row. Excuse me. So this basically gives you access to take any of your 4-star crystals and overlay them into cards such as your Time Thief Redoer, Tornado Dragon, whatever rank 4s you may have at your disposal, and or not only that, it can also help you go into your link plays such as IP, Cerberus, Phoenix, whatever links you may have at your disposal, which is pretty nuts. That's pretty much it for the monsters. There are no added packages. There's no like packages to help support the deck. This is more of a local competitive style deck, I guess you could say, but still pretty crazy deck. But moving on into the spells for the 1-ofs, we got obviously the one Neos Fusion and the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. Then of course we got 2 Advanced Dark, which basically helps ensure that you can actually summon your Advanced Crystal Beast, which is really nuts. Then we have 2 copies of Golden Rule. I realize you only need two copies in this deck because if your opponent were to activate Harpy's Feather Duster, then you can just instantly just use Golden Rule to put them back into your back row, which is really nuts. So Golden Rule reads: place 2 Crystal Beasts from your deck face up in your back row as a continuous spell, then special summon a Crystal Beast monster from your hand or graveyard with a different name from those cards. And if you do, equip it with this card. When this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. You can only activate 1 Golden Rule per turn. This is basically literally a great way to take Topaz and let's say Ruby and Amethyst into your back row. Special summon Sapphire Pegasus. Pegasus effect triggers. Take Topaz, put it in your back row, and if you have Rainbow Dragon on board, or sorry, in your hand, special summon Rainbow Dragon, and then just go ahead into some any other place you may have, and just combo off in there, which is really nuts. Golden Rule is a really nasty card because it's a great way to, again, as I've said, a great way to load up your back row to go into your Rainbow Dragon, which will then help you go into your Rainbow Over Dragon, which is just absolutely nuts. And then to round up the spells, we got 3 copies of Rainbow Bridge, which it's your spell and trap Rhoda for the whole deck, which is really nuts. And then 3 copies of Crystal Bond to help you search out Sapphire Pegasus if you don't have it in your hand. So let's do a sort of a shuffle on this thing. Okay, so let's say for example, So let's say, for example, your hand was Rainbow Dragon, Omega Judgment, Crystal Boon, and two copies of Rainbow Bridge, and you top decked a third Rainbow Bridge. You would go activate one of the you would go activate one of the bridges, search out for your bond, your crystal bond, activate crystal bond, take Ruby, put it into the back row, add Sapphire to your hand, and then just summon just summon out the the what you call it? Summon out summon out the Sapphire, and then just go from there, which is pretty crazy. It's a pretty crazy combo, but it only works if you're able to, if you don't open with Crystal Bond, but you're able to open with Bridge. Again, activate Bridge, search out Bond, activate Bond, Sapphire to your hand, any of the other crystals to your back row, normal summon the Sapphire, and you instantly have two crystals in your back row. And if you activate Golden Rule, you can take two more crystals, put them into your back row, special summon another crystal, and if you have, let's say all 7 crystals on board and or in your graveyard, Rainbow Dragon comes to the board, and you basically have a pretty nasty play right there, which is pretty nuts. Moving on into the traps, there are 9 of them. So first up, we got the 1 copy of Ultimate Crystal Magic, which basically just helps you go into Rainbow Overdragon if any of your crystal beasts were to be destroyed in battle, which is really nuts. We got 2 copies of Omega Judgment, which is probably the most hilarious card to play in this deck, because of the fact that you have crystals in your back row, and Omega Judgment lets you take a monster from your back row and 2 cards that their opponent has, and destroy them. It does come as a 2 for 2, but still that's pretty good. That's still pretty good. A pretty good way to break boards and to be able to just combo off from there, which is really nuts. Next up, my God, guys. Sorry, guys. This is the nature of being sick. Okay, no, still there. Sorry, guys. I got something caught in my throat. There we go. Whew, whew, there we go. Anyway, where was I? Oh, right. Next up, we got 2 copies of Crystal Boon. This is basically Crystal. Was it? Was it? Oh, what's that one? I can't think of it. I'll have to look. Let's see. Crystal Promise. This is basically double copies of Crystal Promise rolled into one card. So it's basically double Crystal Promise on steroids. So the effect reads: special summon up to two Crystal Beasts from your back row, and if you do, gain life points equal to their combined original attack. If a Crystal Beast card is placed in your back row while this card is in your graveyard, even during the damage step, you can banish the card, excavate the top card of your deck, and if it's a Crystal Beast monster, either add it to your hand or summon it. Otherwise, send that card to the graveyard. This basically just gives you a way to mill even more cards, so you can actually see more of your monsters, and then eventually go into your into some of your extra deck plays, which is really nuts. Then of course we got two copies of Crystal Brilliance. I know some people might think that Crystal Conclave might be a bit better, but honestly, truth be told, Brilliance is 10 times better than Conclave, because because Conclave really does nothing much to the deck, because Conclave's effect reads: once per turn, if a face-up Crystal Beast monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, special summon a Crystal Beast from your deck. You can send this face-up card from the field to the graveyard, then target one Crystal Beast card you control and one card of the field, return them to the hand. So you're basically bouncing cards from... You're basically breaking your own board by doing that. Where as opposed to Crystal Brilliance, you're basically enhancing your board. So Brilliance effect reads that you can only control one Crystal Brilliance. Each Crystal Beast monster you control gains attack equal to its original defense. If a Crystal Beast card is placed in your back row, even during the damage step, you can send this face-up card to the grave, special summon a Crystal Beast monster from your hand or grave, and any damage you take is cut in half. So this basically acts as a cyber rev system on steroids, which is pretty insane. And then of course we got two copies of Crystal Miracle, which is basically a solemn judgment on steroids. So the effect reads when a spell trap or monster effect is activated, destroy a Crystal Beast card. Destroy one Crystal Beast you control, and if you do, negate the activation and destroy that card. If a Crystal Beast card is placed in your back row while this card is in your grave, even during the damage step, you can banish the card, place a Crystal Beast from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your back row as a continuous spell. So this basically, again, each of these Crystal Beast cards, spell and trap cards, basically just enhances more ways to get out Rainbow Dragon, which is absolutely nuts. Now we're gonna go into the extra deck, because that was pretty much it for the main deck. The extra deck. The extra deck is basically what you would normally expect from a Crystal Beast deck. There it is. So for the fusions, we've got the Rainbow Overdragon, we got the Ultimate Crystal Rainbow Dragon Overdrive, and of course the Rainbow Neos. Rainbow Overdragon reads must be either future summon or special summon by tributing a level 10 Ultimate Crystal monster. Once per turn, you can banish a Crystal Beast monster from your grave. This card gains attack equal to the banished monsters until the end of the turn, and as a quick effect, you contribute this future summon card. Shuffle all cards on the field into the deck. So this is basically Fiber Jar on. So this is basically Fiber Jar, but without taking cards from the graveyard and putting them into the deck, which is really nuts. Now Rainbow Overdrive has a much more similar effect, but it's different. So the effect reads: must be special summon from your extra deck. During a duel, use special summon an ultimate crystal monster by banishing the above monsters from your field and or graveyard. While 7 or more of your crystal beasts with different names are banished, this card gains 7,000 attack. If this card has not battled this turn, as a quick effect, you contribute this card, shuffle as many cards on the field as possible into the deck, and if you do, special summon any number of your banished crystal beast monsters. This basically just enhances your Sapphire Pegasus to take cards from your banished pile, put them back into your back row, and then go into some of your link plays, and then special summon Rainbow Dragon and attack per game right there, which is pretty nuts. And then of course Rainbow Neos, I mentioned it before. Rainbow Neos is basically Fiber Jar on steroids. That's all there is to it. It's basically Fiber Jar on a 4500 beat stick, basically. Then for the Exceeds monsters, we got Zeus, 2 copies of Redoer and a Tornado Dragon to help ensure that your plays actually go through, because Tornado Dragon is basically MST, which is really nice. Time Thief Redoer can basically just help enhance into Zeus, which is really nuts. And then for the Link monsters, we got first up we got Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. This is basically, in my opinion, this is so much better than Appaloosa in my personal opinion, because of the fact that the effect reads, you can also use a monster your opponent controls as material to link summon this card. If this card is link summoned, you can negate the effects of all face-up monster your opponent currently controls. This link summon card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, unless they target this card. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that special summons a monster from the graveyard, negate the activation. So basically, Monster Reborn, she doesn't know what Monster Reborn is. Basically, it just says, yeah, you're not going to summon anything. Basically, that's what this card is. It's basically Appaloosa, but just even better, if you will, which is pretty nuts. Then of course we have as well the one and only Axis Code Talker. If you don't have Axis Code Talker, then cards like Rasterliger is probably the second best version of Axis Code Talker, because Rasterliger's effect reads you can target a link monster in either graveyard. This card gains attack equal to that target's attack until the end of the turn. You contribute any number of your monsters this card points to, destroy an equal number of cards on the field. Axis Code Talker does the exact same thing, but instead it banishes link monsters from either your field or your graveyard, and it can basically just break your opponent's board easily, which is really nuts. And speaking of Code Talkers, we have a single copy of, we got obviously the single copy of D Code Talker, which is just an absolute house. Then of course we got the Nightmare package, so we've got the Nightmare Griffin, the Unicorn, the Phoenix, and the Cerberus. Griffin basically is a way to take spells and traps from your graveyard and put them into your back row, and then you can just trigger it. And then next turn you can just trigger it off, which is just absolutely nuts. And the best part is that each of the nightmares has the same effect, where it reads that if it was co-linked, when their effects were triggered, you get to draw a card. And the crazy part, Griffin's effect reads, Griffin's last line of text reads, special summon monsters on the field cannot activate their effects unless they are linked. So yeah, that's a nice little disruption there, which is really nuts. Unicorn can can just basically trap, dust shoot cards from your opponent's board back into the deck. And the craziest part is that as long as there are link monsters, there are nightmares that are co-linked to nightmare to the nightmare unicorn. You basically get to draw one card for each one that's co-linked to unicorn, instead of drawing one card during your normal draw. So if you did, let's say, let's say for example, you did Griffin into the extra monster zone, or actually let me rephrase that. Let's say you did unicorn into the extra monster zone, and you did Griffin underneath the unicorn, Phoenix on the left side of your board, Cerberus on the right side. If you were to have that kind of board, you basically get to draw 4 cards instead of 1 during your normal draw phase, which is absolutely insane. And that's just off of Unicorn's effect, which is pretty nuts. Then of course we got the Nightmare Phoenix, which is basically another version of Tornado Dragon, but instead of detaching 2 materials, it's only the MST effect is a once per turn upon being summoned, which is a bit unfortunate, but still it's not too bad. It's a great way to also link up into cards such as, you know, your Deco Talker, and then eventually just link up into your Underworld Gods of the Closed World, which is pretty nuts. Then of course we got Cerberus, which can focus on obviously special summon monsters, which is absolutely insane. And then of course IP Masquerena. So if you have IP Masquerena plus a few Crystal Beasts on board, and your opponent has a monster on board, guess what? Underworld Goddess comes to the board really quickly, which is absolutely nuts. Excuse me. And that will do it for the extra deck. For the side deck, this is my preference on a side deck. You can have pretty much whatever you want in your side deck, but my side deck consists of 2 Ash Blossom, 2 Ghost Ogre, 2 Ghost Bell, a Crystal Abundance, a Monster Reborn, a Call by, a Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, and a 3rd Advanced Dark, just in case if some of the spells don't work out so well, then you could just side them out for some of these other spells, maybe some of the hand traps, and you're able to just further ensure that you're able to go into cards such as your Axico Talker, your Underworld Goddess, or even also potentially your Zeus as well, which is really nuts. And then of course we got two Solemn Strike and 2 Solemn Warning to ensure that your opponent's plays do not go through. So all in all, this deck is a lot better, just because of the fact that I'm not using Audularia, because Audularia is just because of the fact that Audularia of the Moonlit Water really does nothing to the deck. All it does is just it just makes you brick. That's pretty much all it does. So, but all in all, this deck is absolutely insane. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Again, I will be posting the deck list on my Instagram about an hour or 2 after the video gets put up. So make sure you guys follow me on all my social media. Links will be in the description below. And if you guys enjoyed the deck profile and you guys want more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and if you guys have any fan mail that you guys want to send me and want me to open it up on the channel, all the info will be in the description. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.